Alright guys, welcome to your 8th biology tutorial, and in this lesson I want to start talking about the different forms of carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are a very complex topic and there's a lot of crap to cover about them, and they can be classified in several different ways, but just to give you guys a real basic understanding, I'm going to be showing you guys the 4 different, I want to say, main classifications of carbohydrates, starting with mono saccharides. And I know my handwriting is pretty bad, but monosaccharides are a type of carbohydrates, and they're actually sugars consisting of 3 to 7 carbon atoms. And I know what you guys are thinking already. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. First of all, you said that they were carbohydrates, but now you're saying they're sugars. Bucky, make up your mind. What the heck are they? Believe it or not, sugars are a type of carbohydrate. Kind of weird, but we'll talk about more about that later on. But for right now, well, remember in the last tutorial I told you guys that glucose had the chemical formula of C6H12O6, which of course means that it's a carbohydrate, and if we look at the definition, it's a sugar. Anything that ends in OSE is a sugar, by the way. We'll talk about that whenever we get to sugars, but since the carbon atoms, which is this right here, is 3 to 7, falls in that range, which is 6. That's why this is a carbohydrate, and it's also a monosaccharide. Now, once we get the step above monosaccharides, above 7 carbon atoms, we get to something called disaccharides. Now, disaccharides are actually two monosaccharides joined together. So let's see what we got. Let me think of an example. Glucose is of course a monosaccharide. Something called fructose. You may have heard about fructose because people say that it's the fruit sugar. Fructose is also a monosaccharide, and if you were to combine glucose plus fructose, you would actually end up with something called sucrose, and this is just the chemical name for table sugar. So sucrose is two monosaccharides joined together. So just to recap one last time, a disaccharide right here, the definition of this is two monosaccharides joined together. So glucose is a monosaccharide, and fructose is a monosaccharide, and sucrose is these two right here joined together, and that's why we call sucrose or table sugar a disaccharide. Now, a step above this is called, let me go ahead and get a new slider right here, is called, I can't talk and type at the same, CC, oligosaccharide. Now, what this is more than 2, so I'll just write greater than 2, but to 10. Now, it says, and I swear, if you look up the definition in different places, this is what it is. And by the way, this is a greater sign right here, not 72 to 10. So the definition is this: more than 2, but usually no more than 10. And you're like, usually? What the heck kind of scientific definition is that? And that's just because oligosaccharides and carbohydrates, they often come in some really weird forms. So they're like, more than 2, but 10 to 11, maybe 9. Anything greater than this, it usually comes as carbohydrates strung together by like the hundreds and thousands. So just remember that an oligosaccharide is a carbohydrate that has more than 2, but usually no more than 10 monosaccharides joined together. So remember, whenever I talk about this, I'm talking about monosaccharides, not carbon atoms. So I won't go ahead and draw a picture of this because it would take forever if I draw, 10 oligosaccharides. But the last thing that I want to go over is polysaccharides. And let me go ahead and get a new color. And if you heard that glugging, it was the humidifier next to me. And polysaccharides are actually really common, and believe it or not, oligosaccharides are one of the least common. It's the least one we talk about because it's a really weird range of numbers right here. However, polysaccharides are long chains of monosaccharides, such as, glucose, fructose. That's a definition. Long chains. And I know that, oligosaccharides, the definition was, 2 to usually no more than 10. And polysaccharides doesn't have a number, but it just says something like long chains, usually, thousands or hundreds. And, these definitions are kind of weird, but once we talk about sugars and how your body stores energy in different types of carbohydrates, believe it or not, it's actually going to make sense. So polysaccharide, like I said, are long chains of monosaccharides, sometimes thousands of monosaccharides long. And probably the most common one is starch. So starch is polysaccharide made up of a bunch of glucose. Glucose, it's like glucose times 1,000. If a bunch of glucose molecules were strung together, and remember glucose is a monosaccharide, then it would be called starch. So again, one more time, just to embed it in your brain. Let's see if we can get this other side plopped up. So carbohydrates come in one of the four following forms. So basic sugars are 3 to 7 carbon atoms. Oh, I see what's going on here. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Wait for it. There we go. Alright, so sugars are carbohydrates with 3 to 7 carbon atoms. Disaccharides are carbohydrates with 2 monosaccharides pretty much put together. Oligosaccharides or oligosaccharides, depending on how you say it, are more than 2, but usually no more than 10 monosaccharides. And polysaccharides are chains of like hundreds and thousands of monosaccharides. So mono, di, which is 2, oligo, which is 2 to 10, and poly, which is just like usually hundreds. It's usually not like 13 or 14, usually hundreds or thousands. Now, in the next tutorial, I want to talk about sugar specifically because monosaccharides are something that they're going to take a lot of information to cover, and well, you guys will see in the next video, and hopefully things will start making sense. So if you don't understand everything in this video, don't worry. In the next couple of videos, you will, I promise. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.